This is the Following the Joy podcast, a place to talk about being the best version of yourself, following your heart, making the changes needed, and having fun on this adventure we call life. So if that sounds like your sort of thing, then I invite you to stick around. I'm your host, Debbie Westwell, and this is Following the Joy.
Hello, hello. Today's episode is going to be a solo one, and I want to talk about all things destinations. And I don't just mean like the traveling ones that I absolutely love and the holiday vacation destinations. I mean the where are we now? Where are we going? And where have we come from questions. I guess at this time of year, we've always got a lot going on, but we're looking towards the end of the year. We're looking towards like 2024, and we're setting our dreams and aspirations and goals as to what we want for next year, which is absolutely amazing. And I'm completely down for that. And at the end of the year, I love to kind of reflect back on where I've come from and make plans for the future. So I guess it's a little bit like a Christmas carol, and we've got kind of, instead of Christmas past, we've got our own past, and we've got Christmas now or present, and it's our own present, and it's Christmas future. So it's like our own future and where we're going. And so I would encourage absolutely everybody to be setting those goals and have some massive goals and have some really achievable goals, and obviously make sure we're celebrating them on the way. But before we get to the goals and get eager, I think it's really important to A, reflect where we've come from, and B, reflect where we are now. So I'm going to start with the middle one, with the present. So for example, if, I don't know, I was parachuted into the middle of nowhere, if I was blindfolded and dropped off somewhere, in order for me to be able to get to my destination, what is the one question I would be asking whoever it is that I found in that area? It's not like, where is such and such? It's, where am I now? And actually, John Steinbeck, the writer, has a quote, and I'm going to read it to you. So he's basically said, to find where you are going, you must know where you are. And he wrote that in Travels with Charlie in Search of America in 1980. And it's never been more like real than it is now. So, you know, if you don't know where you are now, you're not going to know where you're going to, and therefore you can't take the right direction. So potentially you could end up taking a path that's not right for you, wandering around in circles. And we all know that inaction creates no action whatsoever, whereas any form of action will take us in a direction. It just might not take us in the direction that we want it to go, or we want our lives to go in. So if we look to where we are now, this is something I always do with my coaching clients. So there's a really, really basic tool that's in the coaching world. It's called the Wheel of Life. If you've never done it before, if you've never had coaching before, I would definitely recommend just having a go, sitting down and giving yourself a little bit of time to do this. So this is a perfect time of year for it. I know some people have got children. I know some people are absolutely crazy busy with commitments and stuff as it approaches the festive season. But normally there's a little bit of a lull in between, like Christmas and New Year, or whatever you celebrate in the end of the year. If you can just find half an hour to an hour to sit down and do these exercises and reflect, it will really, really help you. So I'm going to include a link on my show notes to a free link to the Wheel of Life. And basically the idea of it is we look at different aspects of your life and how satisfied you are with them. And based on that scale, you almost get like a graphic representation, or you do get a graphic representation of exactly where you are right now. And obviously, if you did this in another month's time, it would change again, possibly. But then it kind of gives you the areas of life that you may need to consider working on in order to balance out your life as a whole. And that's fine. And do you know what? Sometimes they're all a little bit interlinked anyway. So, for example, money or finances is on there, but so is, you know, like social life and hobbies and interests and stuff. And, you know, we all know that if If the money's not coming in, then we don't have much of the social life. So they do impact each other. So it's just being a little bit like mindful of where we currently are now, and being kind of almost taking yourself out from like a 10,000 foot view and viewing your life, your plan, and where you are right now, right here, and understanding that it can change. It absolutely can change. And we've got many, many paths that we can choose from and take. But we need to know where we are in order to know where we're going. And I think that's a really important thing that we probably don't do enough of. And the other thing is, with each of those individual areas in the wheel of life, you can also break them down and do each one individually. So, for example, in the finance course that I'm putting together about mindset on finance, I'm talking about, it's fine planning for finances, but actually, do you even know how much money you need to pay all of your bills? And that's not just all of your bills. You need to break it down to, paying like your regular bills that are coming in and out every month, those bills that you possibly pay annually, maybe a television license, maybe a driving insurance, maybe a house insurance. Break those down over a 12-monthly period, or factor them in somewhere. Include all of those things like gifts, presents, birthdays, anniversaries. If you know that someone's going to be getting married, you're going to be spending extra. You're going to need to know like kind of approximately how much you spend on each of those, to understand how much you need per month or per year or per week, however you want to break it down, to know exactly how to change your life. This podcast is all about following the joy and doing whatever lights you up. And, for some people, you're in a perfect job, you love it, you've got great, you actually genuinely doing it, you're following the joy. For some people, they're not happy in their jobs and they want to change it, or they want to start a small business, or they want to like a side hustle and then see how they do with that. And that's going to bring them the joy and happiness that maybe they're not getting at work. For some people, it could just be as pure and simple as, I want my children to grow up not wanting for anything. So again, looking at finances is a big one for everybody. When I put it out on social media, people have always come back and asked me like, but what about finances? So there's a little bit of a tidbit for you. So take 10, 15 minutes to look through all of your direct debits, what goes out, also calculate kind of the birthdays and things like that, and just see exactly what you need. So again, that's looking at where are we now? What do I actually need in order to move forward in the future to achieve those goals and stuff? Because actually what you might find is you might think that you need more than you actually do to live on. And that might be the deciding factor between you starting up a small business or not, and give it a go, or not, or change into a job that's maybe a little bit less money, but it actually lights you up. Who knows? So that's kind of like where we are now in the present. But let's talk about, before we go on to the goal setting, let's talk about where we've come from. I think all too often, if you're anything like me, I sometimes get myself into a little head spin of, what am I doing now? Like, this isn't working out the way I want it to work out. Or, how can I get to where I need to go to? And I forget to look backwards just at how far I have come. So I would encourage everybody to kind of just have a review of this year, have a review of the last 5 years. Because actually, if you think about it, I manifested an awful lot of stuff accidentally without even having the intention of manifesting. And it's only really in the last few years that I've gotten into like consciously manifesting. And I can do another podcast episode on manifesting if you're interested. So I think it's really good to know where we've come from. We can all change our path. We are not defined by who we have been in the past, or where we grew up, or how much money we had, or what qualifications that we have got. We can literally change anything. So if I look back, I don't know, like 6 years or so, I was saying to my flatmate at the time, I came off cruise ships, and I didn't know where to live. So I went to live with my friend in Manchester in the UK. And I remember, well, I don't remember, she reminded me on a holiday a few years ago. Um, I was saying to her, I want to work remotely and I want to live near the beach. They are my two big goals. That's it. And I was putting it out to the universe without even knowing about it, because fast forward to 3, 4 years ago, where I actually bought a property 10 minutes walk from the beach, and I was in a career that enabled me to work from home for the majority of the time. So tick, I got that. And I actually had the conversation with my friend in a swimming pool in Mexico at our hotel on holiday during lockdown, bizarrely, because we were lucky enough to get away during lockdown. And I remember saying to her, oh, my life just isn't going in the direction that I want it to go in at the moment. And I'm just not happy with X, Y, and Z. And she was like, hello, you actually told me repeatedly that you want to live near the beach and you want to work remotely. So you've got all of that you've asked for. I was like, oh, yeah, I need to reflect back more, or I need to write it down more, or I need to have like a file on my computer that tells me all of the great things that I have done and manifested and made happen, because it's so bizarre. It's also, you're never going to get anywhere without making a small change. But we'll get to that. But I think that let's just look back at where we've come and let's celebrate. Like, and when I say celebrate, I mean, like, let's literally dance, let's high five, let's thank the universe, the source, the creator, God, whatever it is. Genuinely, I want you to put a big smile on your face and be grateful for how far you have come. If you look into your past, you will see all sorts, whether it's unhappiness at work, whether it's, you know, your mood wasn't great, you weren't in a good relationship, or you know, you were struggling to start your own business, whatever it looks like. Look how far you have come and celebrate how far you have come, because even in this year alone, oh my goodness, I have done so much that I've probably forgotten most of it, but I need to go back through my journals. And I think I might actually put time aside to do that and just literally go back through my journals and just appreciate how far I've actually come. Because when we know where we've come from, we not only understand where we're going to, but we also understand kind of what drives us. So sometimes we don't want to be back in that situation. Sometimes, you know, we've learned from something and we want to move forward, and we've got that drive, and that gives us the motivation. You know, I've got friends who from different countries were very, very poor due to you know, war and political circumstances in their countries when they were younger, and their toys at Christmas literally looked like, you know, a wooden peg with eyes and a little bit of, you know, netting from the curtain on it as a doll. And the only thing that they want in their life is for their children not to experience that level of poverty. And so they will do anything, they will work hard, but they want to give their kids the best things. And, you know, that's completely admirable. And that's just one example. There are so many different examples from different people's lives. But, and again, I want to leave you with a quote on when we're talking about the past, from Maya Angelou. And the quote is, you can't get where you are going until you know where you have been. So that's quite powerful. And I just think sometimes we feel shame about who we are or who we were, our upbringing. Sometimes we may have done something in our past that, you know, we're not necessarily proud of. I know some people, like, so if I talk to some of my school people that I went to school with, some of them absolutely hate coming back into the village where we grew up because, you know, they were bullied at school or they didn't like it. I've got to say, I come back into the village where I grew up, but I don't necessarily put myself out there and kind of talk to people that I went to school with, because I was a really, you know, like high achieving student at school. And I think that, you know, I've generally followed my joy in my life, but I maybe haven't achieved what other people had assumed that I would achieve. And so then that is me not like caring too much about what other people think, basically, because I'm saying, oh, like, I don't really like to come back into the village and tell people what I'm up to. Whereas in actual fact, you know what? I'm really proud of where I am now. And it doesn't matter who I was. And we're all completely different. And those people that we were as children were children, you know, we didn't have the emotional maturity to know what our big goals were. Our priorities massively change when we move house, have sick parents, have children. So our past does not define us. Our present defines us in the present, but it doesn't have to define us forever. And so then we can look at the future and set in those big goals. So let's talk about 2024. Let's talk about setting massive goals. And I'm doing this now at this time of year because I don't believe in saying, I'm going to start this on the 1st of January. Start it now. If you want to stop smoking now. If you want to stop drinking now. I mean, obviously, I understand that some people want to drink around Christmas and stuff, but, you know, if you want to start getting fit, get fit now. You don't have to wait until, you know, January the 1st. That essentially is telling your brain that it is not important to you because you are putting it off for a future date. If it's something that you are super passionate about and you really want to do and a goal that you really want to achieve, you will start it now. And that might feel a little bit scary for some of you, but break it down into small components and really, really tiny things that you can do to change, little tiny changes that you can make to take those baby steps forward. But let's go back to, so, you know, it's mid-December. We have only got a couple of weeks left of the year. We probably are on wind down mode from work. You know, we're on wind down mode, you know, in our private lives, possibly, or maybe wind up mode. I don't know, depends on how busy your festive period is. But there's always a chance to set goals and set intentions. So, first of all, I'm going to ask you, what can you do in the next 2 weeks? What's something easy but slightly out of reach at the moment that you can do in the next 2 weeks? Maybe that is just finding a little bit of joy in your life. Maybe that is you've not got anything planned for New Year's Eve and you're going to find something fun to do. Maybe that is just getting out and enjoying, you know, this colder weather or the Christmas markets, or embracing, you know, I don't know, there's probably so many activities going on at this time of year. Go and find a Santa and cuddle a Santa. I don't know. Maybe that's a goal for you. Maybe your goal is a financial goal and it's trying to get, you know, 2 more clients by the end of the year. Or maybe it's achieving a bonus before the end of the year, or a sales target, or anything to do with like a target or work, or set yourself something to do by the end of the year. It's not hard, but let's not kind of rest on our laurels a little bit. You know, you definitely deserve some downtime, but you can still keep manifesting those dreams and putting those big dreams and goals and visions out there. And as we speak them into existence and even draw them into existence, that's one of my tips on manifestation. And I'll come back to that in a sec. About, you know, it's putting it out there and it starts to make things possible. So then I want you to look forward at, especially if you go away and do the wheel of life, maybe then listen back to this and think, right, okay, now what are my steps forward? What areas of my life do I want to work on? You know, is it your relationships side of it? Is it your spiritual well-being side of it? Do you want to get more hobbies? Do you want to get out and be a bit more social? Are you trying to increase your finances? You know, whatever your area of your life that you want to work on, let's start setting goals now. Don't wait till January. There's no point. Just write it down now. You can reaffirm them in January if you want. Absolutely. But, you know, let's not put off for the future what we can start today. So what is your big goal? I'd love for you to share with me what your big goal is. That would be awesome, because if you share it so share it at Debbie Westwell in Instagram, then it makes it more likely that it's going to happen. So I'd love to hear what your big goals are. You can set as many goals as you like, you know, you can set short-term, long-term goals. So, but especially as we kind of come up to the end of the calendar year, what do you want to do for 2024? You've got 12 months. You can achieve anything. If I'm telling you now, there is no limit for what you can achieve. So don't limit yourself. You've got this. I believe in you. So what would you want to achieve? So if money was no object and, you know, you could do whatever you wanted to do, what would it be? And then I want you to write that down. And I want you to be really, really specific. So here comes the manifestation part. And I probably will do another, as I say, podcast on manifestation because it's super specific, but get really, really specific about what it is that you want. Exactly. So by this date, so write down, but you write down in present tense, by this date, so by December 31st, 2024, I will have / achieved / be at, you know, whatever it looks like. I will be at my villa in Ibiza with my soulmate, having achieved record sales in my business. Whatever it is for you, write it down in the present tense like it's already happened. This is your pledge to yourself. Then I want you to keep reading back that. But also what I want you to think about is the emotions that go behind it. Like, how are you going to feel in that moment? So when December 31st, 2024 comes around, how are you going to feel? Are you going to feel elated? Are you going to feel like satisfied? Are you going to feel happy? Are you going to feel content? How is achieving what you want to achieve going to make you feel? And what's it going to do for you? So if your goal is to, you know, I don't know, my goal, obviously, at the beginning of this year was to start my own business and get out of the corporate world, which I have done. So, you know, but that basically would have given me the ability to leave my corporate job. It would give me the stability that I needed. It would also give me like happiness because I was no longer feeling stressed and worked up and anxious about having to go into work all the time. I'm genuinely enjoying what I'm doing. So whatever your goal is, write it down, be very specific, get your emotions down there as well. If you can, get some crayons and draw it. It doesn't matter how bad your drawing is. You don't even have to share this with anybody, but draw it down because pictures kind of stick in our mind so much better than words do. So kind of write it down. And then I want you to just take a few deep breaths and I want you to imagine yourself there at that moment in time with whatever it is that you've got. So you're either in your new car, you're at your new business, you're with your new partner, or you're with your perfect soulmate, or, you know, you've got that house. Whatever your goal is, like, imagine that you are there. Imagine all the tiny, tiny details. If it's a house, like, what colour is your front door? What colour are the door handles? What does the layout look like? What does your garden look like? Where is it located? Like, what stores are in the nearest area, or what can you get to, or where's your nearest walk in the woods? You know, if you're going to get up in the morning, where are you going to go to? What does your breakfast bar look like in the kitchen? You can literally get that specific. And like, they're your big goals and dreams. And then keep looking back and reading that. But then you need to break it down into smaller pieces. So we've got these big goals and dreams. Awesome. How are we going to achieve them? Sometimes it seems too far away, too much. So my first response to that is actually sometimes you just kind of got to put it out and let it go and know that it will come to you as it needs to come to you. And you've got to trust and have faith in, as I said before, the universe, God, the source, the divine power, whatever it is that you believe in. And if you can kind of just keep focusing on it, but break it down into smaller pieces. So the first step is those emotions that you had, contentment, happiness. Like, what's it going to provide? Is a house, I'll use the house example again. So is the new house going to provide you safety and security? So look in your life, like, where am I safe and secure now? So you're going to start being grateful for where you are now to basically bring more of that into your life. So I want everybody in the next year to have so much joy in their life. That's why I did this podcast. That's why it's called Following the Joy. Whatever your joy, your heart's desires, your happiness look like, that's what I want for you. And the people that I'm interviewing, I want them to kind of inspire you and be like, oh, she's doing something crazy. I'd love to do that. Or, you know, like, that's just given me the inspiration that I can go and do something. And so, yeah, you can definitely achieve whatever you like. And you can set shorter term goals if you want. You can set monthly goals. I often do mine by the lunar cycle. So on the new moon, I will set my intentions. Then 2 weeks later on the full moon, or about 2 weeks later on the full moon, I will then kind of review what I've been doing and then let go of anything that isn't working out for me. And then come the new moon, the new moon again, oh, it's hard to say that, then I will set intentions again. So I kind of do it on a lunar cycle, but you can do it on a 6 monthly, a 3 monthly. Like, a lot of business coaches will encourage you to do 90-day cycles because, you know, you have quarters throughout your financial years anyway. However you want to do it, you set yourself those goals and those targets, and you 100% can achieve them. I am right behind you, and I have full faith that you can do whatever it is that you want to do. So I hope this is kind of helped. It's a bit of a random episode because it's not necessarily me interviewing somebody, but it's me kind of sharing a little bit of, you know, goal setting, manifestation, a tiny bit of manifestation, goal setting, and kind of looking at where we've come from, celebrating that, where we are now, and where we want to be. So I think the big takeaways from this are: look back at where you've come from and genuinely celebrate your achievements, because you will have achieved way more than you think you have. And you can do this with your children as well. Review where you are now. So whether that's using the link to the Wheel of Life, or if you've done it before and you know how to do it yourself, whether it's writing down all of your finances, look at where you are now and don't bring emotion into it. There's no need. It's just you're being honest and truthful with yourself as to where you are right now, and then we can change that. And then start setting those goals, those big ones, those small ones, for whatever aspect of your life that you want to set them. Get very specific. Imagine yourself there. Write everything down, even draw it if you want to, but write everything in present tense. And then keep looking back at that, and then that's your focus. Because basically, wherever you are going, wherever you are looking. So if you spend your day looking at rubbish reels on social media, or if you are looking at what you can't have or what you don't want, ultimately that is the direction that you will end up going in. So those goals that you've got, you need to start finding, I don't know, other people who have got those goals. If your goal is to be like a CEO of your own company, then look at what other CEOs are doing. If your goal is to have that big house, start looking at houses, you know, start planning that dream home. Go and see an architect. Have an architect draw the plan of your dream house for you, if that's in your, like, you know, remit to be able to do that. Whatever it is, kind of focus on it. Try and break it down into smaller pieces, and start focusing on the positive aspects of where you want to go and those emotions that you want to be feeling, and start trying to find ways of feeling those emotions now, because it will keep you kind of steered. And it genuinely doesn't matter where you are now. I believe in you 100%. You need to believe in you, because anybody can change. We basically manifest our own self. We are our own life architects. Whatever we are right now, we've probably asked for at some point in our past. So hope that's helped. If you want to reach out and talk to me about any of the coaching packages that I've got, or if you want to kind of do the Wheel of Life and then maybe have a catch up with me, I'll put my Calendly link in as well, which will give a 30-minute free call. And if you want to work with me one-on-one, I've got some slots available for doing that as well. So I would love to hear from you. I would thank you ever so much for listening to me. And I genuinely hope you have an amazing end of 2023 and you're just ready and raring to go in 2024. Much love.
Thanks for listening today. I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. And as always, any links or anything mentioned will be in the show notes. If you haven't connected with me yet, I'd love to meet you. So come find me on Instagram at Debbie Westwell. Why not slide into my DMs and tell me what you thought of this episode? And if you like what you hear, then please follow me or hit the bell icon, share with somebody like you who would benefit from listening, and all positive reviews are greatly appreciated. Thank you for being your wonderful self, and I can't wait to chat next time.